Hawaii doctor faces murder charges from wife in attempted homicide case. Dr. Gerhardt Konig, an anesthesiologist in Hawaii, is facing attempted murder charges against his wife Arielle Konig after a brutal attack during a hiking trip. The incident has become the focus of national media attention, exposing frightening aspects of domestic violence even in seemingly perfect relationships. The incident occurred during a hike the couple took to celebrate Arielle's birthday. According to Arielle's testimony, her husband became angry when she refused to take photos with him too close to a cliff edge. She felt uncomfortable because the photo location was dangerous. Gerhardt then shouted at her, "Get back over there, I'm so sick of you." Initially, Arielle thought her husband was joking, but quickly realized he was serious. According to prosecutors, Gerhardt then pushed Arielle to the ground, took out his medical bag, pulled out a syringe, and attempted to inject her with an unidentified substance. Arielle fought back in self-defense, grabbing and throwing away the syringe. In response, Gerhardt picked up a rock and began repeatedly striking her head. Arielle suffered severe injuries, including serious lacerations and a broken thumb while trying to defend herself. The attack only stopped when two hikers happened to pass by and heard Arielle's screams. They intervened and helped her, while Gerhardt fled the scene. He hid for several hours before being apprehended by police. In her restraining order application, Arielle revealed that their marriage began experiencing serious problems since December of last year, when Gerhardt accused her of having an affair. According to her, her husband became extremely jealous and controlling, monitoring all her communications. More disturbingly, Arielle also accused Gerhardt of sexually abusing her for months prior to the attack. Although from the outside they appeared to be a perfect couple, a nuclear engineer married to a doctor, with 2 young children. Behind closed doors, their life had become full of violence and control. The couple had even participated in individual and couples counseling to address their issues. However, this apparently wasn't enough to prevent the situation from deteriorating. After fleeing, Gerhardt allegedly FaceTimed his son and admitted, "Dad just tried to kill Ari, but she got away." Gerhardt's son then informed Arielle that his father wanted to commit suicide by jumping off a cliff, though this did not happen. Elizabeth Parker, a victim's rights attorney, believes the attack was premeditated. She points out that Gerhardt proposed the hike to a popular location with steep cliffs for his wife's birthday. Moreover, his carrying 2 syringes in his medical bag for a hike was suspicious. As an anesthesiologist, Gerhardt had access to lethal medications. Parker also noted that Gerhardt's fleeing the scene after hikers tried to help Arielle is a sign of guilt and the behavior of someone who had planned the crime and didn't want to be caught. Gerhardt Konig has been charged with second-degree attempted murder and has pleaded not guilty despite his alleged confession to his son. He is currently being held without bail and could face life imprisonment if convicted. Gerhardt's trial is scheduled for June this year. His defense attorneys have indicated they will file for bail, arguing that he has no prior criminal record. However, given the brutal nature of the attack and independent testimony from hikers who witnessed part of the incident, the defense team likely faces an uphill battle. Meanwhile, Arielle appeared in court last week to request an extension of the restraining order against her husband. She wore a hood and had a visible cut just above her right eye. She didn't speak much during the hearing beyond answering the judge's questions. In her restraining order application, Arielle wrote, "I am fearful that if Gerhardt is released from custody, he will return to Maui and attempt to harm or kill me, as well as harm or kill our children or other family members." The court granted her request, and the temporary restraining order remains in effect, preventing Gerhardt from approaching Arielle or their 2 young children, ages 4 and 2. Notably, the restraining order even includes the family dog, which is rare in such cases. This case has attracted national attention, not only because of the brutal nature of the attack, but also because it highlights a disturbing truth. Domestic violence can occur in any household, regardless of education, profession, or social status. Elizabeth Parker emphasizes this point when discussing the case. This is a perfect example of how domestic violence can happen in any household. We have a highly educated woman, a nuclear engineer, in a relationship with a doctor. But it shows that domestic violence can happen in any strata of life, to anyone. Parker also explains why many victims of domestic violence may not seek to leave earlier. She says, "When you're a victim of domestic violence, a lot of times you're just doing your very best to minimize the situation, to keep the other person happy, to keep them calm." She very likely had damaged self-esteem because of this alleged abuse. Distorted thinking from being controlled and traumatized leads to confusion, doubt, and often self-blame. She also notes the role of having young children in a victim's decision to stay. We can't forget that they have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, small children that she felt greatly responsible for. Clearly, she wanted to protect them. She didn't want the beatings to shift to them. Despite having endured a horrific attack and facing national publicity about her case, Arielle courageously appeared in court to request an extension of the restraining order against her husband. This action sends a strong message that she is taking back control of her life. Parker describes Arielle's appearance in court as extremely powerful, saying that it sends a clear message that she is empowered at this point. She is now taking control of her life. She is reclaiming her life. She is protecting herself, protecting her children, and determined to achieve justice, whatever justice looks like for her. She is standing up for herself, and it's great to see that. Facing one's abuser in court is one of the most difficult steps for victims of domestic violence. Parker explains, "That first step walking into the courtroom is the scariest moment, I think, for these victims. And so many of them, in domestic violence cases, we see they can't do it. They don't want to do it. They don't have the strength to be able to step forward and cross that threshold and say, 'This is what happened to me, and I want the justice that I deserve.'" Arielle's appearance in court and continued pursuit of the restraining order shows she is determined to ensure her and her children's safety, regardless of the outcome of the criminal case. While the criminal trial is scheduled for June, Arielle will face the emotional challenge of testifying against her husband. Despite the restraining order, an exception will be made in the courtroom to allow Gerhardt to face his accuser, which is a constitutional right. Parker notes that testimony from the 2 hikers who witnessed part of the attack will be a crucial factor in the case. Based on current understanding of their testimony, they heard screams and arrived to see Gerhardt striking Arielle's head with a rock. This will be difficult evidence for the defense to refute. The case of Gerhardt Konig is not just a criminal case, but also a story of survival, courage, and the importance of recognizing and fighting against domestic violence in all its forms.